Hey everybody, this is Captain Frugal reporting for duty, giving you my weekly comic book review. So sit back and enjoy.
Captain Frugal, telling the truth. Strumming chords, uncovering blues. Comic panels, game reviews. Rocking riffs and six-string blues. What's the verdict is it rad? Did it crash? Is it bad?
Alright everybody, for those of you that know the drill, I go over a bunch of comic books for the week that I chose to read. Now I didn't have time to read everything, so if I missed something you think I should have read, let me know in the comments below. Also, you may disagree with me on some of my choices. If that's the case, that's alright. Let me know below. Let's just try to keep it civil. My goal is to bring back the old schoolyard days, where we would be in discussing what hero could beat who or what comic book was good and not. And I come armed with my trusty notes, so you'll hear the paper rattle because I do it a little bit old school. I do my grading on a scale of 0 through 10, 7 being average as a 70%. So I'm using schoolyard grading. But that's not all. I also use the League of Comics Geeks to give you other people's views as well as a brief overview of the comic book as well. So let's jump right in. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, and if you're new, welcome. We're glad to have you here. We're our virtual comic shop discussion. So here we go. We're gonna, oh by the way, any noise you hear, sorry, it's the air conditioner. It's still a bit hot, and I don't want to be sweating to death here. So first one I want to talk about is a new series, Justice League Red, #1, with a 3.7 score with 347 ratings on League of Comics Geeks, which is off to a strong start. And I gave the book a 7.5. The writer is Solomon Ahmed, artist is Clayton Henry. Anyway, we have an interesting one here, sort of a spec ops team for the Justice League. We've seen this in the past with Avengers and things like that. And the leader is going to be Red Tornado. He's put this team together, this group he's gathering. And we have that here, but this is interesting there. It's a decent cover to get started, not the best cover. And the variant covers aren't anything spectacular either. I think they should have done something a little more attractive, though I do see what they did in the center of this cover with Power Girl there. Now, what do you do when you rely on superheroes, but for the long term, it's going to end up bad? Well, that's supposedly what the premise is here, is something that the superheroes, the traditional Justice League are doing that's going to end up bad. And so Red Tornado's somehow got this statistical analysis that is leading to how he's going to fix this. Now, of course, the writer here could not even make it halfway through the first issue without Identity Politics of Simon Baz, or however you pronounce him, which I think is a cool character. But anyway, he says being an Arab taught me about surveillance. I mean, come on. I get it. It's part of his character, so they're trying to do that. So I'm not too about that, but this is one of those deals where the writer can't seem to get out of their own way. Anyway, Red Tornado is taking a preemptive position here that it's clearly obvious here. It's going to lead to a conflict later in the series, because even at the very first issue, which I think is too soon, the heroes are starting to go, hey, Red Tornado lied to us. What's going on here? So it's an interesting starting point, but I think actually, which is a unique thing to say, went a little too fast in revealing that. But that's my thoughts. Let's check out some other people's here. I'm seeing a lot of 4-star ratings, but here's a 2. I want to find something that runs counter to what we're doing. Oh, no, here's a 3-star. I'm sorry. It says this was fine. Interesting enough that I'll check out the trade when it comes out next year, but it didn't really grip me enough to subscribe. So there you go. This person's liked it, but said, I'm not going to be paying the bucks for this issue there. And that was a 3-star. Here is, let's go with a 2.5 and read some of that. Pretty average start. I don't really like the artist, and I agree there. The art is pretty plain and simple, but the Red Tornado splash page was great. And yeah, I have to agree, there was a really good one, because Red Tornado's sort of in pieces right now, in a mess. Really good splash page. Considering we only met 2 members of the team so far, the most boring Lantern and the GOAT Power Girl, I'll reserve judgment for the team dynamics for now. Now, I don't agree. I don't think that Simon, well, he's not the most entertaining. There's a lot of other ones, but that is true. Sorry about the beeps and things in the background. I got a lot of stuff coming and going there. So overall, it's a mixed bag in thoughts here, but mostly positive. I don't think it's a bad start for this series. Probably not as good as it needs to be to continue to hold readers long term. So we'll see what issue 2 has. Next, I want to talk about Batman, Superman, World's Finest, number 42. 3.9 score with 224 ratings. And I just don't see it. I gave this book a 7. Not as high a score as they did. Mark Waid wrote this. Artist is Andrea Gutierrez. And what we have here is there's this plague on the Bizarro world. And there's probably my biggest issue. I'm biased there because I'm not a big Bizarro fan. So I can't really get into this story. It's decent art at best. I don't really care for the art. Some panels, in my opinion, are hard to understand here. I can't seem to get interested in this story. But here's the thing: is Bizarro World may implode, and they have to figure it out too. I'm just not a fan of the art. Not really an overall fan of the story. But I seem to be the minority here. I do see a lot of 4-star reviews, 4.5. I see a 3-star review. That one fits more me, probably. It's yeah, this arc is really reminding me that having one Bizarro is plenty. I agree there. So that's one that I agree with. Let's go with something a little different. Here is a 4.5 star. Just a really good Bizarro story. Brainiac Bizarro also looked really cool. The plot is quite high stakes and very easy to follow. So see a big difference there than for me. Here's another one. Me wait for trade. You said it, Bizarro. You said it. Let's go with one more high score. That way it runs counter to what I'm saying. Gosh darn, Waid, while working like 100 different series, manages to still be a GOAT. And Gutierrez art is insane. I really like this arc, and it's better than the last one. Really interesting, and I can't wait to find out where it goes next. Boy, does that run counter to what my thoughts were. Jumping to the next one, Nightwing, 129 with 4.1 score, 332 ratings, and I gave the book 7.3. I'm a little conflicted on this one, actually. Writer's Dan Waters, artist is Dexter Soy. And anyway, Nightwing must overcome the creature that has taken over Titan's Tower and rescue his allies from its 5th dimensional prison. But trapped in time warps and bad dreams, those who escape may be changed forever. Here's the thing. At first, if you recall, when the story arc started, I was not into it. I didn't like it. I like more grounded Nightwing stories. But then I got to think about it. And I thought, the last few seem to be a repeat of the same kind of story we've seen from Nightwing again and again and again. And it was getting boring. So this actually was a nice change of pace. So I went in not liking it. I'll admit that. Not a fan. And then I started going, you know what? It is something different. Decent art, too. And it's good if you want something different from Nightwing. Though if you like the traditional Nightwing stories, though, it might not be for you. The scores are pretty darn high all around. A lot of 5 stars and 4-star reviews I'm seeing here on the page. Though I am looking for something to run a little counter to that. Here we go as a 3-star to read about a little bit. Dick is way too chill about his dog talking to him. That is, really? I mean, this is superhero land. What all the stuff we've seen, do you think a talking dog is going to be that jarring? I think overall this issue and the arc as a whole is a little underbaked. I could have benefited from another issue or two to really let the events breathe. I also think that Dick didn't really react to the absurdities around him much. Once again, Dick has seen a lot. Maybe that should be the title of this video. Dick has seen a lot, which I suspect is because there is so much to cram into just 3 issues. I made it feel like a passive character instead of acting participant in the story, though nowhere near Tom Taylor's run. I'm also not super in love with the way Barbara is written here. Not her actions, but the actual tone of her voice. It just doesn't feel very Barbara to me. At least not in the first half. Overall, I'm struggling to see a piece of this issue that didn't feel underdeveloped in some way. I really would have liked to have seen the set to get more depth and more time to breathe and react. Here's the thing, I'm glad it ended the story arc when it did. I don't think it needed to go any farther. As I said, just a nice change of pace, and then let's get in. So it was like, get in and get out. Get in there, hit it, and quit it. Get out of there while the story is fresh and not dwindling on too long. What's your thoughts about the Nightwing one? I'm really curious to that. Speaking of curious, here's one I was really curious to see what would potentially be coming, and that is Black Cat. Number 1 with 3.8 score, mostly positive with 451 ratings, showing that, hey, people initially are interested in checking out the Black Cat and looking at her. Well, we can see why. I gave the story a 7.2. Writer, though, is G. Willow Wilson, and that scares me right off the bat. Artist is Gleb Milenkov. Now, I will say the standard cover is, it's okay, but there is some alternate covers for this that are pretty dang good. So if you're looking for an interesting cover, well, there is some that are definitely available to you that are much better than what we have as the standardized cover. With that said, we have the good old super thief, Felicia Hardy, and she runs into Spider-Man, but Spider-Man really pretty much just ignores her. And she realizes that since Spider-Man was gone, crime was ramped up, has made more competition for her. Well, she's starting to wonder maybe she should play the hero role. Yeah, be a good doer, having the moral high ground. Now, here's the thing, though. This book has mediocre art internally, and that's a shame because this is a character, if you had great art, oh, I bet this would really help the book sell. Black Cat sees Spider-Man, as I said, but there's no response. She's been calling him, no return. Is this really Peter? If you've been reading Amazing Spider-Man, which I'll talk about in a little bit, when you get to the end of it, you start to realize, okay, something ain't right here. This is probably not Peter Parker. Plus, you've probably seen it with the web shooters on the outside. Is this Ben? Who knows? We haven't really told us yet, but that must be tying into this story as well. We get Tombstone here, too, and he is going to make his move on taking out the Black Cat because he doesn't like what he's doing here. But with story to begin as an opening issue to set up things, it really didn't do much story building. You didn't get much until the very end of the issue. Yeah, she went to, the night nurse to get taken care of like all heroes and villains do. And that was the focus. And a little bit of Spider-Man. Okay, I can get how if that ties in. But ultimately, first issue needs to really do a good job of setting up the story. And this didn't give it to that. All we got is, okay, she's going to play the hero role now. And we have Tombstone not happy about it. I really think they could have done a better job in the story setup. And I'm looking at the other reviews. I'm seeing a lot of 4-star reviews here. Here is a 3.5. Decent start. A lot of artists struggle with Black Cat. I wonder why. I feel like they did pretty good with her in this issue. A couple of weird faces at some panels. Yeah, there was quite a few. But the other than that, I really like the look they gave her. The story so far so good. I actually enjoyed the whole night nurse bit. See, a little different view there. Kind of cool seeing everything that goes into being a bombshell. Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Now here's a 1-star review. Let's read one that's going to be a little controversial, shall we? Yeah, I think I hyped myself up too hard for this one with the Black Cat. The writing is subpar, which is a shame because I like Gordon G.W. Wilson's work on Poison Ivy before I dropped the series entirely because it was getting boring and overstaying its welcome. I normally don't mind fourth wall breaking, but only when it's pulled off well. This certainly wasn't it. It felt boring and stale. I don't vibe with the art style either. I just think that, personally, I think it was a little undercooked on the art. Not sure why the artist felt the need to make Felicia look like some sort of warped Barbie doll with eyes that are too big for her head. At this point, I fear Felicia's never going to get a good modern day solo. Boy, that's a good point. And that's a darn shame. So as you see here, and a couple people responded to that, by the way, and agreed with it. It's really a mixed bag here. Here's a 3-star. Decent enough premise, table setting issue. I don't know what's going on with Spider-Man. And see, that's the thing. I think this relies on you knowing what's going on with Spider-Man, possibly. And that might be a miss. But I'm sure Felicia can carve out a little niche for herself while Spidey deals with bigger problems. I'm not a huge fan of the documentary-esque bits where Cat is seemingly talking to us. Yeah, she's breaking the wall in this one. Meta issue here, if you will. She even does a, "Yup, that's me, but you're wondering how I got in this mess" kind of deal. Yeah, so it seems like this book is a bit hit and miss. I'll be interested to see how the next issue sells. Will it have a lot of reviews written? So this one right now is at 452. I'm going to guess it's going to drop down to the 300s. That's my prediction. So let's see how wrong I am. We'll see. Is Captain Frugal right with his prediction? Only time will tell. By the way, everybody, I apologize for not having more videos on the channel. I usually do music gear stuff. I'm actually thinking to segue into one other thing that people have shown interest in. It's just giving my current situation, sort of a vlog kind of thing, talking about the adventures of a semi-professional musician. Maybe you can call me a failure musician. I don't know, because I don't do it full time. I don't know. And just talking about life things. I used to do something similar to that called Road Rage. I'm thinking about getting back into it because I can do those videos a lot easier with a lot of time constraints because there's a lot going on in my life right now. So with that said, I want to pop back in here to staying focused on what this video is about. And that's next issue, The Avengers #3. The New Avengers, I'm sorry. #3 with a 3.8, mostly positive score out of 248 ratings, and I gave the book a 7.5. Pretty strong there. Writer Sam Humphries and artist is Ton Lena. Hulk heist, yes. Bucky and Clear infiltrate the Hulk space. Yeah, they go into the Hulk's mind to track down the imprisoned Bruce Banner. Here, Bruce is saying, hey, I can't get out until Hulk lets me out. He is pretty much being a captive member to the Hulk, sort of like we had when Hulk was a captive member to Bruce. So anyway, they want to make contact because they need his help because they realize a cloned, bad, crazy version of Reed Richards is a really, really bad thing. So they're dealing with this Killuminati, which I'm not a big fan of that idea in its general idea, but it is what it is. And so how do they get called the New Avengers? Because really it's sort of like the Thunderbolts, but as you know, they got to try to use the Avengers name because it's more popular than the Thunderbolts name. So Bruce says, hey, I'm calling you Avengers, you're Avengers. So that's how they get the name here. Because he's like, hey, I've been an Avenger longer than most of them. Not quite as long as Iron Man, for example, but more than Steve Rogers. This issue has mediocre art. Now, that's something, it could have been a lot better. Anyway, we have Bruce held captive in Hulk space. Still gives us a little more insight what's going on in the Hulk story. Not bad. We get Eddie Brock as Carnage in here. I stopped reading the Venom series. I know that Mary Jane became Venom now, but now Brock is Carnage, which was new to me. So it is what it is. I don't know. I got a little sick of all the symbiote stuff. The dancing around of who's wearing it. I think Brock should have been Venom. You know, and all, but it is what it is. What's your thought, by the way, on all this Venom symbiote stuff dancing around here? Overall, this is an interesting team, though, in this Avengers book. I like the team. They're dysfunctional in a functional way, and so that's pretty neat. I'm going to continue to read this. Are you reading? And if so, what are your thoughts? I would like to know. Speaking of like to know, knowing is half the battle. So let's talk about G.I. Joe #10 with a 4.3 score, 180 ratings, very positive. You know, it sort of surprised me it only has 180 ratings. People, read this book. This book is awesome. And we have the writers, Joshua Williamson, artist Andrea Milenia. And we have the Baroness versus CoverGirl right on the cover of this issue. CoverGirl, pun intended. I gave this book an 8. So here's the thing, they're forced to fight each other because, well, it's just that way. They have to, otherwise the Baroness's parents are gonna get attacked here by Major Blood's people that he's going after them. And so that's a subplot there. Pretty cool little twist there. Also, we get Clutch teaming up with an Autobot, and he has to leave the G.I. Joe base to go get more Energon to explore these weapons that Cobra is using, as well as the Transformers. Like, hey, we need this, right? So if you want to see an Autobot Clutch, get together here, sort of a cop kind of thing here. It's pretty cool. But when they leave, they're being followed, and we find out who's following them, and they get in trouble because they get caught by Cobra. And speaking of which, one of the Cobras is Mercer, I believe was, and he was a G.I. Joe in the movie. So I don't understand that take there. Why is he not here? I don't know, but Mercer makes a pretty cool bad guy here, nonetheless. So you have a good cast of characters. I mean, even Raptor's pretty good. He's the one, by the way, watching over the parents of Baroness that's given the directive to kill them if something goes wrong. And if you were wondering which Transformer I'm hiding in the background, not telling with Clutch, it was Hound. Okay, it's Hound. He's pretty cool. Makes sense. He's a military Jeep. Fits in really well. This book also has some really cool alternate covers. I have been enjoying this series. We get the more Destro's wondering what the heck is going on with Cobra Commander here and his experiments, and he gets a little bit of shocking. But anything I want to say here, the last page. The last page of this one is pretty cool as we get Clutch and Hound in trouble because Mercer and Cobra catches them, and then it's like, oh my goodness, what happened? So anyway, I want to read just a little bit of some other people's thoughts because I'm looking at it. It's like 4.5, 5 stars. all across the board. People are liking this issue. That one of the best issues in the entire series. Woo, man, what a ride. We get so many twists and turns, plot reveals, a mysterious build-up, and insane hype moments for your favorite characters. This was such a densely packed issue, and I don't want it to end because it's just a stream of deliciousness. That was a 4.5-star review, by the way. Here's a 4-star review because that's the lowest ones I can find is 4. Let's be real. Blood probably just wanted to watch CoverGirl and Baroness go at it. Hey, you know what? Bless him. Also, really loving this stuff with Clutch and Risk. That's not Risk. That's Hound. Whoever wrote that doesn't understand. That's Hound. Unless I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure that Autobot is Hound. Yeah, that's Hound. I know what I'm talking about. Don't question myself. So that's G.I. Joe. You should be checking it out. Now we'll shift into the last book I want to talk about today. One that's been disappointing me a lot, but yet on a bit of an upswing. And that's The Amazing Spider-Man, number 10. 420 ratings, 3.9 score. So I think Spider-Man's on the climb here. The cover, by the way, is pretty cool. I'll talk about that in a moment. The writer's Jed MacKay, artist Michael Dowling. So the cover, it's sort of like it's a page, not sort of like it's modeled after a page of the Daily Bugle and gives you some insight. Not a big fan of reading all that, but it's sort of a cool setup there. So anyway, we have this issue with Peter Parker acting much more brutal, not pulling his punches. Yeah, so that's an interesting dynamic. Once I said, go ahead and look at the cover of this. Notice, as I said, the Spire web shooters there, more powerful, they're more sturdy, last longer. But that's not how Peter traditionally wears them. That's a sign something's up there too. We also have this new character, Captain something Kinsungi or something like that. I think he's lame. I'm sorry, his costume is completely uninspired, and it's just a guy running around with a shield, sort of like a Captain America knockoff. This Spider-Man, in my opinion, can't be Peter. Something's different going on, and you'll find out more at the last page of this. But they don't still give the whole thing away. But we know this can't be Peter Parker, and this can't be Spider-Man. That last page is setting up something new. This book has some pretty cool alternate covers. Okay, the current one, not bad there, but pretty good alternate covers. In this issue, you get Black Cat, Spider-Man, sort of, Brian, his new buddy there that he works with, the Captain Kintatsugi, whatever his name is. We get the Shocker, and his team. And boy, Spider-Man teaches him a lesson, or should I say, not Spider-Man teaches him a lesson. And we're getting more of Tombstone. Anyway, this book has really got a wide selection of views, different people and different thoughts. Here's I'm going to give it a little tidbit of a 1.5 star. And so, hey, half a curveball this time. So the fake Spidey is going to end up being Norman, and fake Peter's going to be Ben. Mark my words. If I'm wrong, okay, well, first of all, how is it going to be Norman? How does he have Spider-Man's powers? It's going to be armor? I'm curious there. If I'm wrong, I'm recording myself eating ASM. Well, this person might be recording himself eating ASM. I don't know. Who do you think this current Spider-Man is? Because they're not actually the same person. Yeah, so there's an issue there. Get it? Issue. Let's talk about a 3-star. Darn near this entire book is total snooze fest, with the exception of the ending. As I said, that ending is a nice twist, which has a lot of odd implications that has me asking a lot of questions. One of my questions is, if this isn't Peter, where is Peter? Okay, that's a cool. Also, this clone could be somebody else, like Kane, right? Could this be Kane? I don't know. A lot to be told here. Continuing to look at what they said, the dialogue was all right, but the tone of the book was odd. It felt like it was trying to be subtly edgy, and honestly, it didn't work for me. Okay, that's good. We've seen vengeful and rageful Spider-Man before, true, even without any symbiote stuff going on. And while I don't think this concept itself has been done to death, it makes me question, what will this run do that makes it unique? Art varies between panels, darn good and just all right. Honestly, as long as it's not J.R. Jr. on the main book, I'm cool. I kept finding myself comparing this run to the previous. I kept saying, at least it's not Zeb Wells, and at least it's not JR Jr. And while I'm grateful, I'm having a difficult time letting this whole run stand on its own 2 feet. Probably just me, honestly. You know what? I think this is a classic case. When you've been getting spam constantly and somebody gives you a hamburger, it tastes a whole lot better even though it's not great. And I think that's what we're getting here. One more I'm going to share, and since I gave this book a decent score of a 7.5, actually, I'm going to give it a 1-star review read here. This person with 1-star review, I'm just going to read a little bit of it. Sloppy as heck, subpar art, mediocre at best, doesn't hold a candle to Larraz and other good artists. Just being better than current day J.R. Jr. shouldn't be enough to be an ASM artist. Boy, people are not digging J.R. Jr.'s work on Spider-Man. I wonder,
what, I don't mean to hurt his feelings here. The plot dialogue are so cringe and boring. I can't believe people here feel the need to pretend that this is good. We deserve better than this mess Kelly has been cooking up for us. The central mystery isn't even compelling, and I just don't care about it. I just want to follow Pete with all the unnecessary cringy drama. Conflict is fine. We are 10 issues in and everything sucks. Take that Captain Kinsui, for example. Why does he even exist? Why did Hellgate just drop in for a couple of issues to humiliate Peter, and now he's gone? Why are we doing space crap next? It's all a huge mess, and please stop with the guys at Pete's work. They suck. Wow. People are tearing this one apart, but that's their views. I would love to know yours. If you want to help out this channel, some of the best ways you can do it, subscribe, like, put a comment in. It'd really help me. The last couple of weeks, the numbers have dwindled a little bit, partially probably because of my output of videos, but nonetheless, thank you everybody for your support. I greatly appreciate it, especially through this time right now. I've got a tumultuous time going. I might start putting up some videos about a little bit of that, because it's like community. If we talk to each other and share, we can help each other out. All right, everybody, thank you for your time. Until next time, keep it